welcome to A Step into Sports. I'm Logan Hayes, and I am with Mike Garcia. He is the Director of Operations with Levy Restaurants. Mike, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so a little background on me. I was born and raised in Colorado. Went to school there in the western slope at Colorado Mesa University. Beautiful state. It was hard to leave. To this day, I have family calling me, sending me pictures of Estes Park and the slopes and, the beautiful scenery of the Rocky Mountains. So it was really hard to leave. But yeah, I grew up there, moved around quite a bit with my job, which I'll explain to you a little bit later. Big sports fanatic. I obviously from Colorado, so I'm a big Denver Nuggets fan, Colorado Rockies fan, Avalanche. I do sway a little bit different when it comes to football. I'm actually a hardcore Cowboys fan. Go figure. But my favorite uncle growing up was a big Cowboys fan, so I kind of followed in his footsteps. So yeah, it's kind of a background on me. I'm a big outdoors kind of guy. Enjoy anything sport related, outdoor related, anything that's pretty much active. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell right there.
So, what attracted you to get into the sports industry?
Definitely, as a kid growing up, played football, basketball, wrestling, did a little bit of everything. After a while, you kind of develop a passion for it. So I figured, when I was going to school, it was like my third year. I was a junior, and I still haven't declared my major. And I was talking to my financial advisor, and he was like, Mike, you have to figure something out what you want to do because you're racking up all these electives. You need to start figuring out what you want to do for your concentration. And luckily for me, at that time, there was a new minor league baseball team that was coming into town called the Grand Junction Rockies, literally right across the street from the campus. And I saw an intern for it. And I was like, heck, I love baseball. I love food. So that kind of went hand in hand with, hey, let me see if I can do something with sports. And so then that's when I went to major in sports management and a minor in business. So that's kind of how my passion was there before then, but then my passion for food and beverage kind of developed, which I can get into a little bit later as well. So that's kind of what stemmed it and started it from there.
All right. So, Mike, you gave me my first job in sports. What was your first job in sports that you had that, like, not the internship, but like first, like, actual job you had in sports?
My first actual job, my first sports job.
Sports job.
Sports job, yeah. So my first sports job was actually the intern that I did in Grand Junction. So I was 19 or 20. I think I was 20 when I got the intern. Well, I take that back. I actually worked there the year prior to my internship as a cashier. So I was a cashier for about 2 weeks, in the concession area. Loved it. Like I said, it was right across the street from campus. So I'd walk over from my dorm. Great experience. It was a new team and all that. So everyone was really excited. There wasn't an empty seat in the house. And after about 2 weeks, I got a call from the general manager. She took me to the side and was like, hey, I think you have potential to be a supervisor. Do you want to do it? I was like, sure. I don't really know what that entails, but I'll take it on. After about 2 weeks, she made me a supervisor and did the whole season. It is rookie. It's Pioneer League, so it's only 35 games. So it went pretty quick, but it was an awesome experience, and that's kind of when I knew that this is something I wanted to do for the rest of my life or for a good chunk of it.
So was that like that step on your path to your spot now? What was like your entire path to your current spot?
Yeah, so wow, it's quite a bit actually. And I was thinking about this morning actually. It was just like a lot has happened since that internship, but kind of go back to that. In 2015 is when I had my internship. Did that for about 3 months. Like I said, it was a 35 game season. And from there, I graduated, and it was like, all right, now what? What's the next step? So I actually went to Nashville, where they were having baseball winter meetings. So baseball winter meetings happen every year. I'm sure you're aware of it. It started off as a spot for all the owners and managers can go, and they can talk about trading players and stuff like that. It also developed into an area where it was essentially a sport management job fair. So a bunch of kids like me can go there, and you bring your resume, you bring like 50 copies, and you essentially go there and you go in this big room. Well, at first, they have speakers, they talk about, minor league baseball, how to get in it. Obviously career in sports. But basically what it was on like the second or third day was 2 big rooms and bulletin boards everywhere. Now these bulletin boards were just job postings for, places in North Carolina, Ohio, back on the West Coast, the East Coast, Delaware, Illinois, it's just everywhere. And you see which ones you want and you kind of write down the number of what the posting was. So I remember going in there and it was kind of like, picking your dream, picking your goal, where do you want to live next? And I think I picked like 7 of them. And when you get out of the room, you wrote down the number and you go to a specific slot and you put your resume in there and you pray and pray. And that night, hopefully you get a call in the interview. Because what happens, each team has representative at the winter baseball meeting. So hopefully you get a job interview. So the next day I had 3 interviews. The day after that I had another 3 interviews. So I applied for 7 jobs and thankfully got 6 interviews. After the 6 interviews, I had 6 offers. So I was kind of like, I went into there thinking, wow, like I hope I can at least get an interview or, a job. So I had 6 opportunities. One was in Arkansas. They were all minor league baseball teams, and majority of them were in food and beverage. There was one that was operations. I'm trying to think back, but it was just spread out. And there was one for Asheville, North Carolina. And it was for a concession manager job for the Asheville Tourists. And the reason that one stuck out so much to me because the Asheville Tourists are a farm league for the Colorado Rockies. And like I said, I'm a Colorado Rockies fan. You had players go up the farm league like Nolan Arenado, et cetera, et cetera. So I interviewed for that. Obviously, I got the job. And yeah, the rest was history. I packed my bags, drove cross country for 36 hours. Did a full season with the Asheville Tourists, which was tough at first. I'm not gonna lie. It was a lot of work, a lot more than I anticipated for. A lot of hours. As you know, in baseball, you have 7-game homestand, 10-game homestands, and I'm working 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. every day. So it was tough, but I'm glad I put in the work because when the season ended, there was opportunities to go other places, and I had an opportunity at the time to go to Dayton, where I met you.
Yeah.
And to be the concession manager. And this is when I started becoming big time because this is where I wasn't a seasonal manager anymore. It was, all right, you're a salary guy. We're going to put you on year round and see how you do. So that's when I packed my bags, moved to Dayton, Ohio. Spent a good 14 months there. It was great. It was fun. It was definitely different than Colorado, weather-wise, climate-wise. But I enjoyed my time in Dayton. It was fun. I met good people, got to meet someone like you, having you out there slinging candy and soda and all that good stuff. And you had the voice for it, man. I remember you had the personality for it. You had the voice for it and you did a dang good job.
Yeah. I remember David literally just walked me into your office one day and said, hey, he needs a job. Do you want to give him one? And that day I sat down for the interview.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was in the warehouse. I remember that like it was yesterday because Dave was like, hey, I might have someone. I was like, bring him on board. Let's see if he can, pass an interview. But yeah, so that's where I did 2 years of minor league baseball and the season ended. So I was kind of like sitting on my butt during the off season. Thankfully still getting paid, but I went on the Levy website and there's a career page where it's just tons of jobs. So I saw a job that was in Oakland, California, and it was for the Golden State Warriors. And I was like, I don't have the credentials for that, but you know what? I'm going to put my resume in and see what happens. You never know. I put my resume in, and sure enough, I had a couple notifications a couple days after that. It was kind of doing a virtual interview because I was obviously living in Ohio at the time. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those one-way interviews. I don't know if you've ever done one of those.
I'm not.
But it's like obviously it's like recording and they ask you these questions beforehand. You have like 3 minutes to answer it.
I have actually done one of those.
Yeah,
it's like just record this video. Like here's your questions and.
Yeah, which I'm a big in-person kind of dude. Mm-hmm. So like I love interacting and like seeing how they're reacting, especially in an interview. So it was a little awkward, but I did the best I could. And a couple days after that, I'm headed to the gym. And I'm in the parking lot and I get a call and a random phone number and I answer it and it's Mike Ringler, who is the director of operations for the Golden State Warriors. And I'm like, okay. He's like, you have 15 minutes to talk? And I said, sure, of course I do. So we spent 15 minutes on the phone. We clicked. What was hilarious is he saw my area code. He was like, that's very familiar. He's like, are you from Colorado? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, so am I. So we both clicked. His name was Mike. My name was Mike. And at the end of the phone call, he was like, I want to make you an offer. And I literally was just like, okay. And he made me an offer. And I kind of was like, can you give me the weekend to sleep on it, talk to my parents, talk to people I care and love, weigh out the pros and cons. He was like, yeah, you take your time. So yeah, I ended up taking the job and drove cross country again all over the West Coast. Worked for the Golden State Warriors in 2018, which was their championship year.
Yeah,
and
you got a ring.
Yeah, got a ring. I wish all my stuff's packed up still right now because I've been doing a lot of moving, just like everyone has during this time. But yeah, they won. They won it, and it was probably the most exciting 6-7 months of my life, and it was kind of solidified what I wanted to do for the next 5 to 10 years. So yeah, so I'm in the Bay Area. From there, after the season's over, I actually get a job with the San Francisco 49ers. So I'm the food and beverage manager for them. Great time. I mean, the first season I was there, I think they won like 4 or 5 games, so they were just terrible. And then right after that, I actually got a job offer to be the food and beverage director for a minor league baseball team called the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. They're affiliated with the LA Dodgers. So I said, heck, I'll do it. You know, I've been a manager this whole time. I try how it is to be a director. So then I was a director, and then the season ended, and I went back to the 49ers when they went all the way to the Super Bowl. So some people say I'm the good luck charm.
You almost got a second ring.
Yeah, dude, I was so close, man. That I was, tell you what, man, that was I was
cheering for the 49ers, and I was like, you were on my mind. I'm like, if they win, Mike's getting a second ring.
Yeah, that would have been nice, man. But hey, you know what? Things happen for a reason. So yeah, that's kind of been my career. You know, I've been in California the past 3 years. You know, there's tons of opportunities out here. But yeah, so that's kind of where I've been the past 3 or 4 years.
But you said you went from a supervisor to director, correct? Is that like what the term was for it?
So I was the food and beverage manager
for
and the 49ers, and I went into the food and beverage director, which was huge promotion for me. You know, instead of managing just the concession area, I was managing the whole operation. So the concessions, the suites, the catering, the picnics, managers underneath me, and close to 80 employees. So it was definitely a step up, but it was fun. It's always great to learn new things, put yourself in challenging situations, and that's what it was for me. Basically, I always like to be challenged. I want to be told, hey, you can't do that, or you know, you don't have the credentials, the resume to do that, and I like to come up on top and kind of say, hey, it's possible.
So you've worked in 3 different sports now. You worked in baseball, football, and basketball. Is there any major differences to how the concessions are run, like the operation side between the sports?
Not necessarily. No. I mean, the biggest things, as you know, is, you know, we sell hot dogs, beer, candy. Obviously, as the levels you go up, the better the food gets, the more options you have. Like minor league baseball in Dayton, you know, it was just hot dog, soda, beer, candy, peanuts, pretzels, you know, kind of the basic stuff. But as you start getting like up there, you know, in the majors, the professional league, like NBA and the NFL, you have a different tier. So you have like subcontractors, so like local food and beverage companies coming in and kind of renting out some places, and you know, it's definitely a different kind of animal. But at the end of the day, man, it's just peanuts and beer and soda, and you know, you're essentially just using your customer service. And you know, from a manager point, it's all the same. You know, your day-to-day operations, you're making sure you have enough product, make sure you have enough people, and just getting ready for any big games. You know, so it's at the end of the day, it's just customer service and smiling and keeping people happy.
I love that quote. At the end of the day, it's just peanuts, beers, and soda.
Hey man, keeps people happy.
To you, how important are internships in the sports management field?
Back when I was an intern, or now, or both?
Well, let's go with both.
Yeah, so I think it's huge. I mean, I think if it wasn't for my internship, you know, 36 hours away, I never would have been like, hey, I lived in Colorado my whole life. I didn't even like wrap around my head like moving to a different state, nonetheless across the country. So it kind of gave me the courage to kind of, all right, get up, pack your things, drive cross country. So that experience alone was huge for me. Just being away from family, being away from your comfort zone, and just going out and doing something new. But the intern was huge for me because it wasn't permanent. It was like, hey, do this intern, learn as much as you can, and see where it goes from there. And you learn some things of, hey, some days you might go in and say, I don't know if this is for me. There's this, this might be for me. You have your outweigh your good days and your bad days. But at the end of the day, interns are huge. Kind of give you a broader idea of what it's like, going to the stadiums or the ballparks every day and kind of getting a glimpse of it. So I think it's huge, and it's definitely worth it.
All right. So have you had your quote unquote "I made it" moment yet? So like you're kind of like, oh, I'm comfortable. Like I made it into this industry. Like, if so, what was it? I kind of have a guess on what I think it could be.
Yeah, I think for me, what I was just fortunate enough to be a part of the Golden State Warriors championship. It wasn't really anything I did personally, obviously, just because it was what happened on the court. But when that happened, yeah, it definitely was like, wow, like, actually, let me show you something real quick. I received this gift on my second day working for the Warriors. They actually made me a customized jersey
awesome.
with my last name.
Okay, that's awesome.
But yeah, so like when I got that, it was like, all right, this is kind of big time. This is pretty cool. But as far as career wise, it was definitely when I got the seat to be the director of operations. That was kind of, I was sitting in my office thinking, wow, like you worked your way up to this, you've moved and lived in 4 different states. Your time has come, but at the same time, I'm never happy. I'm never satisfied. I always want to do more. I'm always hungry. So for me, it was just like a stepping stone to see what's next.
All right. So what's the biggest thing someone can do to break into this industry?
Basically it's not, I mean, it's not too hard. Like we're seeking a lot of talent, especially more than ever now with people going out doing different things, finding different jobs. But for us, for Levy restaurants, we're everywhere. We're even in outside the U.S. We have NBA teams, NFL teams, NBA, minor league baseball, hockey, concert venues. We just don't have enough talent. So basically, if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to maybe move around a couple of times, and like I said, you're willing to put in the work and the time, and customer service is huge in our industry. Without fans coming to these games, I don't have a job. So it's definitely something well worth. So if you're like me, if you're working for a job that you don't really enjoy and you pull up to the parking lot and you're like, man, this is gonna be a tough day. But for me personally, when I pull up to the 49ers or Oracle Arena, it was just like, wow, like this is where I work. This is pretty phenomenal. So it definitely gives you that ump. So yeah, I mean, did I need my degree to do it? No, I have plenty of coworkers and managers that, did something completely different. Maybe did something in hospitality or engineering where it doesn't really require a degree. It definitely helps, that's for sure, because there's a lot of things I learned in school and about management and sports and how they correlate. But yeah, just if you're willing to put in the work, and why not be able to visit and check out the U.S. and 4 different states on the company's dime? So it's well worth it.
All right. Is there anything on your path into where you are now that really stands out to how you got to where you are?
Just the willingness to move, the willingness to be brave enough to go out and put my name in a hat like I did with the Warriors. At first I had my doubts of saying, you know what, I'm just going to put my name in the hat and see if they might consider me. And I'm not going to lie to you, at the time, I was just like, concession manager for a minor league baseball team in Dayton, Ohio. Like, I'm not going to get this job. So you just got to put your name out there. You got to believe in yourself, even when you don't believe in yourself, fake it till you make it kind of thing. So for me, it was just being brave enough to apply for these jobs and then consider them and pack my bags and move. It's one of those things where people struggle with because you're in your comfort zone, and people don't like being outside their comfort zone. Even I, to this day, don't like to be out of my comfort zone. But definitely just looking at those opportunities and reaching for the stars and just packing up and going.
All right, here I have one more question for you. You have jumped around teams a lot, so you've been to a bunch of different teams. Do you have any plans to I'm pretty sure you keep planning on continuing to change teams. Am I correct on that?
Yeah. I mean, I just turned 30, so I'm getting to that point where security and stability, and maybe starting a family is kind of sinking in a little bit. So I put in my moving around. I think I might have 1 or 2 moves in me, but ideally I want to find a spot where I can stay for 3 to 5, 7 years, kind of leave my mark. But again, like, I'm always willing to listen out to opportunities. Like, I'm never gonna say just because that's on the West Coast or the East Coast, I'm not going to consider. I'm always going to consider an opportunity because at this point I've earned that, and if it's there, I'm gonna listen.
So, are you looking to return to any of the teams that you were previously with?
Well, with the Warriors, they're no longer at Oracle Arena in Oakland. They're actually in San Francisco at Chase Arena, which, if you haven't had a chance to check that out yet, man, it is second to none. It's beautiful.
I saw they had like an experience the year before it opened. I saw that.
Yeah. It's I would love to work at Chase. I mean, we still have that account. The clients are really great there, I've heard. I'd probably do that in a heartbeat. But then again, it's in San Francisco. Costs an arm and a leg to live in that area, so that's one thing that I'm probably, my next move is going to probably be somewhere where cost of living is not as expensive. Because like I said, getting to that point in my life where I start thinking about buying a house and settling down, and maybe saving some money on the back end, because it's in California. It's tough to save money, but it's fun in California. I'll put it that way.
All right, that's all I have. All I have for you. Anything else you want to add to anyone watching looking to get into the sports industry?
Yeah, like I said, just if you're willing to put in the work, don't be afraid to ask questions. There's no such thing as stupid questions. I've asked several stupid questions in my career, which at the time they helped me out drastically, just because if you don't ask, then you'll never know. But put one foot forward, don't look back, go with it, and one day hopefully you'll inspire one of your concession workers to call you up 3 years later to do an interview. So at the end of the day, it's all about helping other people and doing your best and being happy while you're doing it. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank
Everyone
you for having me on.
That was Mike Garcia. Lots of words of wisdom there.